having the second pint. By Christ, it tastes lovely, this second pint. These days I have timetables to keep to, shit to shovel. I have lost my poet's licence. Instead, I have been sold an adult city saver that saves me all of 20 pence and allows me all the bus rides my timetables allow. Sod that. Tonight, I am having the second pint. Man walks into a pub, well, you've heard this one before. I know it's not that funny or that clever anymore. He sits down like a sailor who's been shipwrecked quite a while. Man walks into a pub and smiles. Man walks into a pub and you can see the little boy. His pockets full of sixpence in a sweet shop full of toys. Back before the smoker's cough, the beer gut and the piles. Man walks into a pub and smiles. And the lads are watching football on the pub's big silver screen. And until that final whistle you can't forget what might have been. The chances never taken, the numbers never dialed. Man walks into a pub and smiles. And it isn't just the football, and it isn't just the beer. Me and Dave are smiling too, we got this big idea. And if it comes to nothing, that's because next day we can't remember what it was. Man walks into a pub, leaves his troubles at the door, shakes his own head wisely at the lad still trying to score. There's a pint of compensation for the final homeward mile. Man walks into a pub and smiles. Man walks into a pub. Man walks into a pub. Man walks into a pub. Ooh, ouch. And this is a true story of couscous. I don't know, I suppose shall I waffle or not? I don't know. If I waffle. Oh, okay, waffle. Right. Okay. Well, I started off this album is mainly composed of songs that I wrote for the fabulous monthly Hove folk club, and it came out of a rather appalling period of writer's block, largely occasioned by the day job, which really fucks your creativity up, no end. And it started off. It was I got this one of those like moleskin books. You know, I was in Paris and they were selling these moleskin paper notebooks, and it said that everybody used them, like Hemingway. And I thought, okay, well I'll get one of those because if I've got a book, I'll have to write something. So I bought the book. It cost a bit, so I thought, you've got the book, got to write something. So for a while, I was just writing stuff based upon the headlines in the Argus. I get the bus to work, and I'd wait along the Portland Road for the 46A to the glue factory, and I'd see what they had on the hoardings. And for example, on the 28th of the 2nd, 2008, the headline was "Rats in Kitchen Restaurant," which occasioned the following poem. It's a bit grim, isn't it? But then again, the Argus is. And when the world war to end all world wars pauses for the generals to catch their breath and accountants take over, counting corpses in the kitchen, corpses under the bed, corpses in the marketplace and corpses in the head. They replace everything with the spectacle of the never-ending fast food spectacular, vending rubbish in the kitchen, rubbish in the bed, rubbish in the supermarket and rubbish in the head. And so the corpses and the rubbish, the latest celebrities, take over. Rats in the kitchen, rats in the bed, rats in the restaurant, paying by American Express. So it's pretty grim stuff, really. So then, thankfully, I started running Hove Folk Club, and I thought I'd try and write a song for every monthly Hove Folk Club. And so this is one of them. I was sitting in. It was last year, Eid being a movable feast. Eid occurred while we were still in school, so we decided to go a bit North Africa. And I was cooking couscous with the children, and I was suddenly sitting there thinking, God, my life has been not soundtracked but food tracked by couscous. Important moments in my life have been accompanied by couscous, and so I wrote the song. It's not actually true, all of it, but some of it once was. This is the story. It starts out like this. He's 20 years old and lost in Paris with the guitar and the girlfriend. It's New Year's Day. Everything's frozen on the Grand Boulevard. Then down this side street, there's the Rose of Morocco, red wine and couscous, and right on the radio, this woman starts dancing like fire on thin ice. She got a face like an accident and a body like paradise, and la 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 la. We'll call this film Couscous. La 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 la. It helps if you go la 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 and pretend it's a Peter Sarstedt gig. La 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 la. We'll call this film Couscous. La 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 la. A true history of couscous. Then we cut to years later. He's this married man, and he takes her to Paris with a map in his hand, but he can't find that back street, and he's got the name wrong. Leaves his hat in a taxi, like he stopped writing songs, and they come out of the metro. There's this sky full of snow. There's this place selling couscous. We'll call it Southport. Overweight waiter, way too big for his belt, brings some bowls full of hot sun, and the rivers of ice start to melt, and la 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 la. We'll call this film Couscous. La 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 la. A true history of not the same man, and it's not the same New Year's Eve on Boulevard Saint-Germain. This old overweight waiter sings their baby to sleep. They hold hands for the camera while outside in the street, the guitar of the girlfriend, that sky full of snow, the hat in the taxi, that song on the radio, sing through the city as they happen again, and the street filled with stories like a It's really, I don't. Doing this album, oh, backing tape. That's nice. I like it. It's good. I decided to be a big boy and try and use a capo. I hate capos.
Just goes to show, just silenced it.
Hey, it's going to get precious. It might be important. You might have won something. In which case, it's beer all round. And I was. It's a couple of years ago, and I was sort of sitting in Robin's class, feeling a bit depressed, as you do. And Paris came in with. She said, "I made you a bracelet with my mum," which is very nice. I still wear it. Look, it's that one there. And Paris is a pretty smart kiddie. She knew my favourite colour was black. Oh look, Rob wears black every day. I make a black bracelet. But what I found was really touching was that it's fallen off now. There was a little guitar design on it, and I thought, blimey, people, because I never think of myself as a guitarist. I think of myself as a chord monger. So people think of you as a guitarist. So I promptly wrote this instrumental called, funnily enough, A Bracelet from Paris. So you never use a capo. The only good thing about, I suppose, having a day job, it gives you something else to write about other than how difficult it is to be a musician. Occasionally I find myself trapped on railway stations, usually Manchester. on my way to Southport, which, as you can imagine, is a pretty bleak experience. Southport Folk Club on a Sunday night. And I'm tempted to do the Paul Simon, I'm sitting on a railway station feeling very sorry for myself thing. And I think, no, come on. Luckily, there's always something more interesting to write about. If you've got a day job, I suppose. I'm doing a couple of songs from the day job. I suppose if I was a miner, I'd write about going down to pit. So I just write about going to school. But all human life is there in its somewhat snotty, I suppose, but it is there. This came from the time when I was sentenced to a year in the salt mines of Little Haven in Horsham. There's nobody from Horsham. No one. That's a stupid question. Is there anybody from Horsham? It's like people from Horsham never leave Horsham. they have this view that Crawley is the Bronx. They cross themselves and check their wallets just in case. But I was in Little Haven, which was this is the only rough part of Horsham, Roffey, the BMP candidate stand. And so this is based upon. I changed the names basically, but it's all true, and it's about Jodie who and. My good friend Morris, the chair chucker, turns up. Morris designated himself. Morris was a chair chucker, but he designated himself as my guitar roadie. Every time I get the guitar out, or he'd get the guitar out and plonk it faithfully in front of me, and he'd go, "Leave it, leave it," to the other kids. Top man, Morris. Great domestic life. Jodie's eating noodles. Happy Chinese New Year. It's a third plastic cup full of noodles, and she grins from here to China. Everybody gets a lucky bag. There's noodles everywhere. Even the class chair chuckers aren't chucking any chairs. My lords, ladies and celebrities, allow me to present this very small piece of the real world. That's a bit of a chorus. If you do that, it goes, my lords, ladies and celebrities, allow me to present this very small piece of the real world. She's got 2 sisters and a brother, a dad who goes away, a mum who doesn't listen when she's got things to say, like, today we found this sparrow, mum, we don't know how it died, and some little purple flowers, mum, what happens when you die? My lords, ladies and celebrities, allow me to present this very small piece of the real world. This very small piece of the real world. So welcome to the real world. There's Jodies everywhere. I know you're far too busy to answer every prayer from every falling sparrow, chair chucker, wafer strays. Idea of 7th heaven is a Chinese takeaway. My lords, ladies and celebrities, allow me to present this very small piece of the real world. Ladies and celebrities, allow me to present this very small piece of the real world. This very small piece of the real world. You just closed down her hospital. You sent her brother to Iraq. And it would be a good idea if both of them came back to small piece of the real world. This very small piece of the real world. Usually I find out I have to change the names in case their parents here. But this is kind of I didn't change Charlie's name. This is all true. This happened about a year ago, and it's about Charlie Kilgore, who's about that big, but it's also about Charlie Darwin. You know, that's the great thing about human beings. We have all this amazing potential, and at one time, Charlie Darwin must have been some sort of snotty-nosed, scabby-kneed 5-year-old mucking about in the mud, poking worms, as 5-year-olds are prone to do. And he must have got the brilliant idea at some point to sail around the world and totally change the way that we think about things. So this is for Charlie Darwin and Charlie Kilgore. Charlie's watering the mud. He's got this plastic watering can. Half as big as his friend Zach, so he has to hold it with both hands. Charlie's watering the mud. He says, we're going to grow a tree. It's going to reach up to the sky. It's going to be as big as me. Oh yeah. Little people, big ideas. Oh yeah, little people, big ideas. Now Charlie says to Zach, of course, now we've got to paint it blue. And so they start to paint the mud. Carjay joins in too. Animo watches thoughtfully, because Carjay's paint is sort of red. And as the mud turns sort of purple, it will be beautiful, she says. Oh yeah, little people, big ideas. Oh yeah, little people, big ideas. You keep on watering the mud, Charlie. Okay, sometimes it ends in tears. Then again you might end up, Charlie, on the Galapagos Islands. On the Galapagos Islands. Now Nathan's watering the mud, and half the class are growing trees, and half the class are building rivers that one day make it to the sea. And Kerry wants to paint the walls red, but finds an acorn green as spring. So we dig a hole in Charlie's mud and drop tomorrow's oak tree. Little people, big ideas. Oh yeah, little people, big ideas. Oh yeah, little people, big ideas. Oh yeah, little people, big ideas. Big ideas. Wow. Let's see what the headlines were. This is a really grim one. Let's have a really grim one, shall we? This is great. Yes, aren't you glad Hove Folk Club came along? Headlines on the 2nd of the 4th, 2008. Oh, that's too grim. I won't do that. I'll do something else instead. I'll do the only joke one there is in here. 29th of 2nd of 8th, the headline was, Pensioner Crushed by Road Sweeper. Yeah, I guess they. Little old ladies, leap year proposal, treated as a joke by a very big bloke with a very big broom. Yes, it's surrealism really. Talking of surrealism, have I gone to yep, done all that. That's right. This is mentioned surrealism. It's got a great chorus. We were on the Boulevard Saint-Germain, as you are, and we were walking back to try and find the hotel, and R goes, I want to go to the toilet. So I go, oh great, well there's the Café Les Deux Magots just along here, and it was where, at this point, the family's eyes glazed over. Oh, father's off on one, let's just wait till he stops talking. Yes. I go, yes, everybody's there. Jean-Paul Sartre, Simone de Beauvoir, all these famous people you couldn't give a fuck about drank there. I go, yes, father, I want to go for a wee. So we pole up to the Les Deux Magots, and we pole in, and actually it's pretty low on existentialism these days, but it's pretty big on American tourists and a penguin selling them expensive wine. So we sort of pole in past the penguin and the American tourist being flogged expensive wine, sit down in the corner looking shabby and British as you do abroad. When you're abroad, everybody goes, oh, you're English, you look shabby. It's great. No matter how you got over bonjour, they go, oh, you're English, you look shabby. And he comes over and says, can I have un café noir, s'il vous plaît? And he almost spits, you know. So we're having the café noir, and then me and I go inside, and I'm going, this is where they all drank our wine. I want to go to the toilet, please. Shut up, father. We go down the stairs, and I'm going, it all comes down to this, doesn't it? You see, the finest wine, the finest minds. It's just piss, isn't it? It's all just so much piss off. Oh, yes, Dad, shut up. So we have the pride of having pissed wet poets. Immaculate waiters wait with the finest of wines, for a nod or a wink or a word from the finest of minds, for a couple of couplets or two from Rambo or Belay, for Pablo and Dora to meet while the bombs fall like rain. In the chorus it goes, Les Deux Magots, Les Deux Magots. Everyone comes, everyone goes, Les Deux Magots. Everyone comes, everyone goes, Les Deux Magots. Now Oscar is drowning his absence in absinthe and wit, and Jean-Paul and Simone decide on which side they should sit. And Louis and Andre and Max don't know what to believe. And Jacques spends his time trying to count all the dead autumn leaves. Les Deux Magots, Les Deux Magots. Everyone comes, everyone goes, Les Deux Magots. Everyone comes, everyone goes, Les Deux Magots. Now you realise it's a bit boring now, what it really needs is a violin solo. In the absence of the violin solo, I do something I've never done before, I change key. Oh! Now Hemingway's History and Albert Camus drinks alone, and immaculate waiters wait while those tourists phone home. The finest of wines, the finest of minds comes to this. I finish by coffee and piss, where poets have pissed. Les Deux Magots, that is the two maggots, isn't it? But such is the convoluted nature of the French language. It actually means the two Chinese traders. So there you go. All this and culture too. So I'm going to finish this again by doing something I haven't done for ages. I'm actually putting the guitar in normal tuning. Scary. What will happen now is we'll have a raffle. People escape the bar thing. I think I can try and invent an excuse not to go back in there, but don't, because we've got more from Mark and Dan, and also we've got Lomans and Ruth. Anybody else wants to do anything, please. Just this is an anarchist collective here, not one of those Stalinist emporiums where you have to do what someone tells you to. It's just if you feel like moved, if you feel the spirit move you, just come and say it. Borrow a guitar. But this is when I first started going to folk clubs, they weren't folk songs then, they were new. There's ploughboys all over the place. People popping after hard day's ploughing, singing about walking out in the May mornings and stuff like that. And there was these people called ragtime guitarists. That was just the most beautiful thing you could do, play the ragtime guitar. There's a bloke called John James, who was superb. But he played this song called Delia. It's simply the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. And I can just about badly do it. And sort of, I think it's the mark of a good... No! Delia was a gambling girl. Not a cook. So, that sounds good. Occasionally, or as in the immortal words of Ian Hunter from Not the Hoople, he's got this concert video and he goes, are there any songwriters in the audience tonight? And various people go, yeah! And he goes, well, if you're a songwriter, you have to do a love song every 2 months to keep your wife happy. And he'll go, yeah! And he launches into The Needs of Your Heart, which is an infinitely superior song to what I could possibly offer. But, occasionally moments turn around where you have to write a love song. And I wrote this last year for our wedding anniversary, but unfortunately, the only thing to hand was Harry's SpongeBob SquarePants ukulele. As you can imagine, the SpongeBob SquarePants ukulele is often kind of goes out of tune and doesn't reach the high standards of ukulele. It's very yellow. It's more yellow than Laurie's, but actually it doesn't have a tune like that. So I wrote this song on the ukulele, and then I got home and realised that in no way was I ever going to take Harry's ukulele out in public. Obviously wouldn't let me. So I tried transferring it to all sorts of different sort of tunings and things on the guitar. And at one point it was looking like it was going to sound like an outtake from Beggar's Banquet by the Rolling Stones. And then I remembered ragtime guitar, and I turned it into this. This goes down very well in pubs in Shoreham, because it's called Dark Star. And they go, it's about the beer! It's not. No. Les Paul never lets you down. You don't have to say things twice. And a Telecaster rings just like most bells of paradise. And I held these curves for 30 years, and my life is in these scars. But you are my favourite guitar. Paris never lets you down, you don't. Paris never lets you down, she takes your breath away. With her barricades and poets and those hunchbacks and cafes. When I'm dead you'll find my ghost still drinking in these bars. But you are my favourite boulevard. favourite way to ride. When the night comes like a cat sliding down the street, nothing tastes like darkness does, so bitter and so sweet. Night comes on like windows and it passes by like cars, but you are my favourite dark star, my favourite boulevard, my favourite guitar, my favourite dark star. Well, thank you very much. Oh, it must be, no, don't read any more of those scary poems. Go and buy some beer and come back to the raffle. And more fun and frolics in about a quarter of an hour.